Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the District 29 Candidate Showcase. I hope you are as excited as I am to hear from our candidates this evening. Our Candidate Showcase provides a unique opportunity to get to know the individuals who are running for elected district leadership positions. We are recording the showcase and we will be sharing the video on our District 29 website. For all our attendees on the Zoom, could you please keep your video turned off and remain on mute throughout tonight's session. One important item of note for all district council members in attendance: immediately following the conclusion of the showcase, voting for our district election will open via Election Buddy, a Toastmasters International approved app that District 29 has used before. And those of you who registered for the district council meeting on May 15th will receive an email announcing the start of the election with a link to vote. There will only be one position, Club Growth Director, that will need to be voted on with this system. Since some of the district council members carry more than one vote, we will be using a weighted voting process. You will need to vote for all three candidates using 1 for your first preference, 2 for your second preference, and 3 for your third preference. The first preference on each ballot counts as a vote for that particular candidate, and the votes are tallied. If no candidate receives a majority greater than 50% of the total valid ballots, the candidate with the fewest number of votes is eliminated, and the ballots for that candidate are redistributed to each of the ballot's second preference. The process continues until a majority is reached by one of the candidates. Now, voting will remain open until 10 minutes following the last candidate's speech at the district council meeting on May 15th. If you have any questions, please private message me via the chat. With that, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our facilitator of the evening, Distinguished Toastmaster, Ms. Kimberly Chaplin.
Thank you very much, Mr. District Director. It's so nice to see you there. It is my pleasure tonight to serve as the facilitator for the Candidate Showcase, and I'd like to take a moment to review the format for tonight's showcase. Each candidate will be given 6 minutes to speak. The candidates will be given 3 options on how they use their allotted speaking time. They can use all 6 minutes to give a speech. They can give a short speech and take questions from the facilitator with the remaining time, or they can use all 6 minutes to answer questions from the facilitator. If you choose all 6 minutes for just a speech and you end early, I will ask you questions until we run out of time. All candidate speaking segments will be timed, and I want to ask the timer as I go through this to turn her time at the same time. A green background will be shown at 4 minutes. A yellow background will be shown at 5. The red background will go up at 6. And at that time, the Zoom host will mute the speaker, and we will then start clapping and congratulating from the audience. We're going to start with our division director candidates, and we're going to proceed alphabetically through our division. So starting with A and moving forward. And so we get to start with Division A candidate, Advanced Leader Bronze, Jillian Springer. Jillian has elected to give a short speech and use the remaining time for the questions. So Jillian, I yield the floor to you.
Thank you. Good evening, Toastmasters family. I am so happy to be here with you this evening and grateful to present myself as the nominee for Division A Director. What are my hopes to accomplish for Division A? It's to make its members, its clubs, its leaders, and its area directors a more strong and more robust division. And how do I want to do that? 3 ways. I want to build, I want to equip, and I want to establish. Build. I want to build off my own experiences as a Toastmaster of 8 years. I have In that time, served as president of multiple clubs, multiple times, VP of PR and secretary multiple times, and most recently, Area 11 director for 2 years in a row. All of that building up of experience has brought me to a position where I feel like I could bring my skills and abilities and expertise thus far to being Division A director. I also want to build off the experience of fellow Toastmasters. Specifically, most recently, my Division A director, Earl Jensen, for all his support and mentoring, but also the whole Toastmasters family. I've rubbed shoulders with you in clubs. I have attended trainings with you and under you, and I have gained so much more than I could have ever gained by myself. We all start this journey in Toastmasters thinking of what we want to get out of it, but I have definitely learned over the years that I don't do this alone, and I am traveling with others in a direction to build strong district. And then I want to build off the Toastmasters international experience and the years and years of painstaking effort to build best practices that help us to follow through and develop those strong clubs. Then I want to equip my area directors and support them by giving them training early to see the big picture, to be reminded of our core values, and to develop the best practices that they'll need to succeed in their role. And I want to establish the strong clubs through incorporating those best practices. So my goal in developing those best practices is to help them become highly effective processes that will help determine our success. And I want to do that also alongside of our core values, because when we align everybody with our core values, we preserve the culture of Toastmasters. And that is something I want to see happen in Division A. So I want Division A to be a stronger, more robust division. Thank you.
Thank you. So your first question is, describe a successful team that you've led.
A successful team that I have led. Well, when I was serving as a marketing director for a private school, I had to develop teams of teachers and teams of students. And neither one was particularly easy. Teachers have a very firm grip on what they feel works, and many are reticent to change. And teenagers, well, you can imagine what it's like to work with teenagers. But in both instances, I took the time to listen to where they were, their experiences with the school, both their joys and their frustrations. And together, having developed that shared trust relationship, we worked on some areas that we could agree mutually on to work on. And the students, took a little longer to move in that direction. But once they saw that I was entrusting them with responsibility, that I believed that they could take on more to strengthen their school, they joined up as well. And we were able to put together a 25th anniversary celebration where the students, with my supervision, essentially ran the entire thing. It was a great experience, a great outcome.
Very nice. What innovative approaches will you bring to this role?
Oh, I remember this question before, innovative. So my answer to that is the same answer that I gave before when I was being vetted as a nominee. One, before I jump into innovative, I want to understand what's been working and what's not working. Particularly related to my division and what has developed the most success for them. So that would be my first step before I leap into the innovative. I think some of the innovation will come once again, because we're beginning to meet in person. And I think that's giving us a renewed energy and burst of life to look at that experience again through fresh eyes, sort of putting the reset button on.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please give a big round of applause for our Division A candidate, Jillian Springer. And next up is our Division B candidate, Dynamic Leader 4, Fran Guastadesenge.
1 minute while she comes from the breakout room, please.
Gotcha. Thank you. I knew I forgot to practice something tonight. It's always those little bitty things that I forget to practice.
She is in the main room now.
Okay. And so our next up is our Division B candidate, Dynamic Leadership 4, Fran Guastadesenge. My hands were down here, they were low. Fran has elected to use her 6 minutes to give a speech. Fran, the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with all of you tonight. As you say, my name is Fran Guastadesenge, and I am running for my second year as Division B Director for the 2023-2024 Toastmaster year. I do appreciate this opportunity to introduce myself and share my qualifications for this position. I filled leadership roles within my home club. That club is All in the Family. I've also served 2 years as Area 25 Director. And as I say, I'm just now completing my first year as Division B Director. When I joined Toastmasters back in August of 2018, I wanted to develop my speaking skills and I wanted to hone my leadership skills. I can say that I'm a much more confident speaker now and much more confident as a leader as well. However, I also made some discoveries along the way. My first discovery is that you make a lot of friends in Toastmasters. This organization is comprised of people from all walks of life, and everyone has something to contribute to our fellow Toastmasters and to our district as a whole. I've also discovered that Toastmasters impacts all areas of my life. I find myself applying what I learned from my Toastmasters leadership experience to my work and vice versa. A little bit about me. I currently work as producer director for Fairfax County Government Channel 16, and I've been with that organization since 1997. It's interesting that the core value of Toastmasters, and we all know what they are, integrity, respect, service, and excellence, easily applies to both my Toastmasters life, my personal life, and my work life. I function as a manager at work, and as a manager, I use these values with the various teams with whom I work, whether it's production teams, my direct reports, and as well as people in levels of government, high levels of government. I believe everyone should have the opportunity to grow and learn, and I am very glad to promote this positive mindset both in my workplace and in Toastmasters. My last discovery of many, I could go on, but I'll keep it short, is the importance of teamwork. We've heard the phrase teamwork makes the dream work, and it is very true. Nobody can do it on its own, but I have also discovered that Toastmasters is a very safe space to learn and to grow and to develop as a leader. I really appreciate that. My experience as division director has offered me a great opportunity to get a glimpse of all that goes into making a successful district. I learned so much more this past year as division director, and would like to continue learning and growing. I believe that leadership starts at the club level, and I will continue to provide all the assistance and support that I can in my clubs, areas 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25, in all of those areas. And I'm convinced that strong club members make strong clubs strengthen the division, and strong divisions strengthen our district. I look forward to working with you in the coming year, and I appreciate your consideration for my candidacy for another year as Division B Director. Thank you.
Fran, can you describe a successful team that you have led?
I'll talk about my experience with regard to TV production, since that's what I know best. And a successful I do many productions, but I'll just give you an example. We do a production once a year that spotlights kids from area high schools who come up with a concept, an app, an invention that is geared to help older adults and adults with disabilities. And these kids are amazing. And it's always my pleasure every year to facilitate their pitch to judges, to let them know what it is that they've developed, answer questions from the judges, and then at the end, they're awarded first, second, and third prize. And my team and I, it's a cohesive team. It takes 2 days to do this production, and it really, the teamwork that goes into this is gratifying. And so it comes together, and it's a success every year. But it's strong leadership, calm and cool, but just knowing that the end goal is a successful production. So that's an example of really what I do on a day-to-day basis.
Okay. And what innovative approach will you bring to this role? Oh, thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, our Division B candidate, Fran Guastadesenge. We're going to give it just a moment while we bring our next candidate into the room. And I will just let you guys know that our Division C candidate was not able to attend tonight. And we do not have a Division D candidate. So we're going to proceed with our Division E candidate.
They are now in the room.
Okay, our Division E candidate is Motivational Strategies 2, Helen Kelly. Helen has elected to use her 6 minutes to give a speech. And so Helen, I give the virtual floor to you.
Thank you. I am a person who enjoys getting to know people. If I can have an in-depth conversation with someone I do not know well, I often come away from that conversation liking the person better than I did before. And I have carried on wonderful conversations within the grocery store with complete strangers. When Rick Taylor called and asked me to be Area 52 director, I was surprised. I know I like to talk to people, but what else is involved? As it turns out, quite a bit. I asked a couple of friends who had been area directors what they thought of the job, and they were very frank. Some of them liked part of it, and some of them didn't like part of it. but I decided to take a chance. And I'm glad I took that chance. In my 9 months as area director, I have learned so much about how the areas and the divisions operate. I now know the duties of the area director and the preparation needed to put on a speech contest. And after almost 9 months, I'm still learning. I'm impressed at how such a large group of people can operate so smoothly when everybody participates. If you watch the division contests, you saw wonderful examples of public speaking. I want to help our talented public speakers and leaders reach their most ambitious goals. I want them to dream big and hope that the most gifted speakers will eventually make it to the World Championship of Public Speaking. And I encourage those aiming for leadership positions to find their niche in Toastmasters or another nonprofit, in the community, or in business. The district's mission statement is to be the first choice provider of high-value experiential communication and leadership skills development. In other words, we encourage our members to learn to do by doing. And I'd say, judging by the district contests, I'd say our members are doing an excellent job. Since last August, I have worked as an area director and managed 4 clubs. I understand where the newly recruited area director is coming from. I want to know my area directors very well. I want to know what merely interests them and what actually inspires them. Do any of them have special talents? Are they interested in becoming District 29, joining the District 29 leadership team? In my first year as area director, I became acquainted with so many kind and helpful people as I began to build my social network. This year, I'll continue to expand my social network and volunteer to staff speech contests. I enjoy being part of a group of people promoting a worthwhile cause. You know, if someone asks me, can you be a judge in my contest? If I'm available, I'll say yes. To hold myself accountable for the division's performance, I will conduct a lessons learned message after each event, so we can evaluate how we did. If something went wrong, what caused the problem? One thing that can confuse people is change, and this fall we'll all face a big change when we switch to in-person contests. Will we have to train more contest officials to staff these in-person contests? If so, I volunteer to learn how to perform a role I've not done before. This is one reason to adopt the habit of lifelong learning. In a changing world, we have to adapt or fail. And I'd rather adapt and learn what I need to know to succeed. Our boss, division director, Mary Dotson, was an experienced team leader. She heaped praise on all of us for successes large and small. Good job, thank you very much. And she also taught us the value of expanding your contacts. This brings me back to Division E. I really enjoy Toastmasters and the people in it. I believe in the Toastmasters core values of integrity, dedication to excellence, service to the member, and respect for the individual. I look forward to facing the—
Thank you very much, Helen, we really appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, give a big round of applause for our Division E candidate, Helen Kelly. With that, we're going to move on to our next candidate for Division F. I'll let our Zoom host tell me when they're in the room.
Madam Host, I'm going to have to go join and prompt them. One moment.
Okay, no problem. I did see an email come out that said that the early bird is on right now for the division district. I'll get it right in a minute. The district conference. So if you have not already signed up and scheduled to attend, when we have a break or when we finish tonight, that's a great time to go ahead and do that. I'm always excited to see the speakers that are coming in and the amount of effort and things that are put into those conferences, and just the ability to see each other in person, to say hi, to talk, to network. Conferences are a great way to do that. Okay, and next up is our Division F candidate, Distinguished Toastmaster, Sam Bhattacharyan. Give me a second there, Sam.
Yes,
Sam has elected to give a short speech and use the remaining time for questions. Sam, the virtual floor is yours.
perfect. Thank you, Madam Moderator. My name is Shom Bhattacharya. My full name is Shomnath Bhattacharya. And to give you some background on me, my parents immigrated from India. I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. To give you some background, I began becoming curious about the diversity of other organizations and where the diversity is. By education, I'm a civil engineer, and American Society of Civil Engineers was trying to promote diversity. I was also seeking other organizations to promote diversity. One of the organizations I founded primarily and to help me develop professionally is Toastmasters International. For some of those who have technical or engineering backgrounds, you know that engineers and scientists tend to speak in a lot of detail. And we should be able to, in the sense that we have trouble connecting with our audience. And that's the main reason I stay in Toastmasters. I also work for various military organizations where I have to report to military commanders. One thing I've learned, and no offense, they have rather a short attention span. You have to keep their attention going. And one term I've learned is give them the nuggets, the highlights of what you're trying to tell them in your structured speech. And what I'm doing, I've also been a member in various districts from St. Louis, Silicon Valley, the DC area. And to let you know, I'm currently stationed here in South Korea. And I'm very committed. And one thing I've learned about Toastmasters is it brings people together from all sorts of backgrounds. And we learn how to work and function together as a community. I've also learned how to make agendas properly. And I've also learned Toastmasters helps you organize meetings properly. And that's one thing I want to emphasize as a division director with my various clubs, how to make their people's club more effective and also add the element of fun while we're developing. I'm hoping that you will allow me to have that opportunity to become Division F Director, display what I just mentioned. Madam Moderator.
Sean, describe a successful team that you've led.
Successful team. I will say the successful team that I led was in District 4, which is Silicon Valley. I was assigned the task for my high performance leadership project, organizing the division humorous speech contest. And as I learned in one of the TLIs, the HPL teaches one how to delegate. And therefore I had to contact my area directors. I will have to admit, sometimes nag them in order to find a venue, organize the club contests, and find volunteers such as timers, ballot counters, sergeant at arms, to get everything working together smoothly. It took some time, but everything came together in the end. That's the end of my answer.
Thank you. So what innovative approaches will you bring to this role?
Innovative. For starters, for innovative, using technology, as we're doing right now, learning. I understand that people are hesitant to use some of the technology, which is maybe a reason why some people drop their membership. Some innovative approaches is some people who are resistant to the new ideas, such as pathways and the Zoom, will, if they're willing, we can offer TLIs. We can show them how to use the technologies today in order to help give their speeches and bring people together, and other innovative techniques. I will have to work on improving the agendas. In one of my clubs, we have what's called a club listener, and also a club inspirator. That's the end of my answer.
Okay. So perhaps the division director's role is one of the most underutilized positions in the district. What metrics of accountability and responsibility for this position would you recommend?
And since most of the clubs have to meet the metric of trying to become at least distinguished, and I will say I was a member of 2 struggles.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Let's give a big round of applause for our Division F candidate. Thank you so much, Sean. And we'll take just a moment while we bring in our Division G candidate.
Do I leave the room?
I think you can stay in the room now that you've already spoken.
Perfect. Thank you.
Madam Host, the contestant is arriving.
Okay. Well, we're not going to make Noreen a contestant, but I do like her being a candidate. And next up is our Division G director candidate. It's Dynamic Leadership 4, Noreen Clemenzi. And Noreen has elected to use all 6 minutes to give a speech. I'm just waiting for you to come on camera and unmute for me. Perfect. And Noreen, the virtual floor is yours.
Okay. Well, it is my honor and privilege to be nominated as a Division G Director for the upcoming 2023-24 Toastmaster year. A bit of my history. I joined Toastmasters in 2009. to learn to speak to an audience without fear or feeling my blood pressure rise. Believe it or not, I was a very shy person. I did not speak much at all. Through Toastmaster, I accomplished being able to get up in front of people and talk. And especially, I have to contribute to my mentor, who was a real go-getter and maybe not quite ethical, but she did the job. She got me to do my CC project on the fly. I wasn't prepared, but I did it. And you know what? It gave me the confidence to move on. And also I realized at that same time, if you want perfection, you may never get anything done. So to some point, you have to go ahead and get something done and commit. And I learned the significance of this. And I learned the significance of effective meetings where everyone was involved, which is how the meetings are set up. I haven't seen all Toastmasters Club use it that way. And we're working with those who don't to actually use all the members in a role so that all can participate in a meeting, which is for everyone's benefit and working together. Having served this Toastmaster year as a Division G director, I gained a better appreciation and understanding of this role and many other roles in Toastmaster. I've always felt being in a year was probably not long enough. I've been a president of 2 clubs and have had second terms, usually with a year in between. And you do come in with a lot more knowledge on the second year, as you've learned all the intricacies of all the leadership roles. Last year, I have seen 2 clubs in Division G lose their charters, and 3 more clubs have become suspended. Although this is not cheerful news, it is a trend that is happening all over Toastmasters. Rather than look at this as a failure, I look at it as a correction. You see this in the stock market and other places in life. 2 steps forward, 1 step backward. Division G is facing leadership challenges, which I feel will require innovative planning and different strategies. I am planning on using the Area Action Council meetings to affect positive results. I very much felt that they were very important in getting each club to talk to each other in an area. I plan to lead all aspects of growth and retention by working with the clubs through the Area Action Council meetings and all across the division. I'd like to focus on retaining existing members, which I think is extremely important, increasing the educational goals, and attracting new members while having fun. I'm especially interested in recruiting new members of the younger generation. I have had served all the officer positions at the club level. In addition, I have served as area director. And this will be my second year or second term as Division G director. I did serve as president for 2 clubs that did achieve distinguish. I plan to engage the areas in my division and promote camaraderie amongst the club officers and members through the Action Council meeting, as I mentioned before. The intent is to enhance the Toastmaster experience and community. I am very strong on community. I believe that my Toastmaster experience has improved my ability to speak confidently and connect with the audience. We are all on this path together. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity, District 29, and I look forward to growing and evolving together with you all.
Noreen, we might have time for one question. Can you describe a successful team that you've led?
At my job, I created a digital slide presentation. It was intent to advertise our events to the public. We had a couple volunteers, and I was able to effect this without me doing all the work and train someone on how.
Thank you so much. Everybody, please give a big round of applause for our Division G candidate, Noreen Clemente. And just in case you haven't figured it out, we do not have all the candidates in the room with us, just because we are asking similar questions of each, and we want to make sure that you get their initial response answers and not anybody getting a little bit of an advantage by hearing somebody else's answers first. So that is why we're taking just a little bit of break here and there as we allow the candidates to come back into the room. Now we're going to move into the trio, and we're going to start with our club growth directors. And we actually have 3 candidates for club growth director. We will proceed alphabetical by last name. And first up is our innovative planner proficient, Earl Jensen. And Earl has elected to use all 6 minutes to answer my questions. Sorry, Earl. Been sitting here too long. I just gotta make a little. Okay, Earl, your first question. When working with a group of peers, describe your decision-making style. You're on mute, first off. It would not be a Zoom meeting if I don't get to say that at least
Wow.
once.
I mean, Max River.
Hold on a minute, Betty, you're not on mute. There we go.
All right, thank you, Kimberly, for that question. When I'm working with a group of peers, I want everyone to feel like they're a part of the group, a part of the meeting. And I like to use collaborative leadership style with those members because I want them to feel like they're a very important part of the team as far as coming up with the questions and the answers for solving the problem. Thank
Okay.
you.
What is your plan to reach the district goals in membership and club growth over the program year?
That's a very good question, Kimberly. As far as reaching the club goals and their district goals of membership, I want to reach out to everyone and work with the clubs themselves. And what I mean by that is getting down into the weeds and figure out what is going on, especially with the little club memberships. I would like to come up with a committee which is similar to having 4 or 5 Toastmasters to go to these different clubs and basically help these clubs out, basically to gather more information, have a larger meeting attendance, to make it a more dynamic meeting, to have consistently strong meetings. So the guests, when they come in, they think this club is very healthy. I'd like to have fresh voices to give evaluations and table topics and give general evaluations when you have more people in the room. And as far as to attract new members, and I want to enhance the new member experience, especially with these low club membership people. And that's what I want to do is enhance and maybe create another committee out there for that role. Thank you, Kimberly.
What will you do to attract the younger market age between 25 and 35 years old?
That's a very good question. As far as attracting the younger generation, we all know it's all about that social media. And I would definitely hit up the Facebook, the Twitters, the meetups. I know with Toastmasters, we're all into those social media clubs. LinkedIn is a very good, important one. But if we could somehow or another create Toastmasters into a game, I would try to go make a game out of Amazon Twitch because the younger generation loves to play video games as well. Thank you, Kimberly.
Okay. What is your plan to promote the organization to corporate leaders and community organizers?
Thank you, Kimberly. As far as drawing that type of membership, as far as into those corporate clubs, it's all about reaching out to those corporate clubs and basically selling Toastmasters to them. And you can explain to them that you're developing young leaders that can actually do a better job at promoting PowerPoint presentations. They learn how to be more experienced in speaking and leading from the front and not be intimidated when they're talking to senior leadership. Toastmasters has really helped me with that. As far as joining Toastmasters, I don't have that little, like the little flare in my stomach anymore as far as reaching and talking to senior level people in briefings. I work at the Pentagon, and this would definitely help with the corporate clubs in reference to explaining to them that if they could join Toastmasters, we can develop these young leaders to get up there and present PowerPoint presentations and feel comfortable, and they will be a better employee for that corporation. Thank you.
And for district already saturated with clubs in the metropolitan area, what are your plans to address growth in the low density area?
Yes, Kimberly, what I'd like to do with that is I'd like to get a cork board, buy a Virginia map, buy these little pins that have the colors, the blue and red ones, and kind of mark where all of the Toastmaster clubs are in District 29. And then look at the areas with my teams, my club extension chair, mainly because there's club extension committee and of course the club sponsor committee. Basically get those teams together and we all look at that and start penetrating those areas that have high populations that we have yet reached out to and try to do that. One example that I'd like to say is the Pentagon. I don't believe we have any Toastmaster clubs in the Pentagon. I'd like to try to reach that and try to get into it. And the main reason is because I do work there and I don't see any flyers about Toastmasters. I don't see any flyers about, promoting some of the clubs that are local, like in Fairfax and Arlington and Springfield, and even in the Belvoir area. I'd like to promote those clubs and start putting flyers out there as well. Thank you.
Okay. And please explain your understanding of the fiduciary responsibilities of the district leaders and how your experience relates.
Yeah, as far as the fiduciary responsibility, as a trio, we all have that. That's basically but in a nutshell, the district director has a fiduciary responsibility, and he's directly responsible for ensuring the district is appropriately managed and all the funds that are used to support its mission. And the district also has a financial manager that supports the district director in his endeavors or her endeavor next year by providing a monthly profit and loss statement to the district director, the program quality director, and the club growth directors, and the finance manager.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please give a round of applause for our first club growth candidate, club growth director candidate, Earl Jensen. I'll let Betty tell me when.
Madam
Sukumar.
Host, they've arrived in the main room.
Okay, great. Our next club growth director candidate is distinguished Toastmaster Sukumar Nayak. Sukumar has elected to give a short speech and use the remaining time to answer questions. Sukumar, the virtual floor is yours.
Hello, my name is Sukumar Nayak. I am honored to speak with you today as a candidate for the role of Club Growth Director. As we continue to navigate the challenges of the post-pandemic world, I believe it is most important to focus on growing and strengthening our community. As a fellow Toastmasters for more than 7 years, I have seen the transformative power in the lives of individuals and communities. As your CZD, my primary goal will be to expand our clubs and membership. I believe Toastmasters offers incredible benefits to improve communication and leadership skills. I am committed to making these benefits available to as many people and communities as possible. To achieve this goal, I plan to implement a multifaceted approach to membership growth. This will include targeted outreach to the companies, government agencies, and community groups, as well as leveraging the power of social media, Meetup, and other online platforms to spread the word about our clubs, our members. Growth is not about just increasing our numbers. It is about fostering a welcoming and supportive environment that encourages our members to grow and thrive in our clubs. As CGD, I will work closely with our club officers, members, and district leaders to ensure that our clubs remain a place where everyone feels valued, supported, and welcomed. My call to action and measure of success for club officers is to provide an environment to foster personal and professional growth for each of our members. I also believe the growth means embracing new technologies and technique. Post-pandemic remote work and virtual meetings are becoming the norm. We must be willing to adapt and explore new ways for connecting with one another and expanding our reach to potential new members, new clubs. As CGD, I will incorporate these new tools and techniques while ensuring that we maintain the personal touch that makes Toastmasters special. In closing, I want to say I am passionate about Toastmasters and the incredible benefit it offers. Less than 1% of the companies and government agencies and communities in Northern Virginia have a Toastmasters club. 1%, less than 1%. This represents a significant growth opportunity for us. This is where I can help with my 33 years of corporate leadership experience, employees development, and executive relationship. I'm excited for the opportunity to serve as your CGD and would be honored to earn your support. Please vote for Sukumar Naik as your Club Growth Director. Thank you.
Thank you, Sukumar. So a few questions. When working with a group of peers, describe your decision-making style.
My decision-making style includes purpose-driven, conceptual, and supportive. I am collaborative and data-driven decision-making.
Okay. And what are your plans to reach the district's goals in membership and club growth over the program year?
Membership and club growth is in a very challenging term. I will focus on retaining and having self-sustained club in our District 29 so that each of the clubs can thrive without having to govern pretty closely. In addition to that, I will reach out to the communities, churches, mosques, temples, gurudwaras. There is a lot of opportunities for people to enrich their communication and leadership skill. I will reach out to these communities. In addition to that, I have done research on top 100 companies in Northern Virginia, categorized by different industry verticals. With my 3,000 plus LinkedIn membership, I will reach out to each and every potential clubs, and I will initiate as many clubs as possible in the next season.
Okay. What will you do to attract the younger market between 25 and 35 years old?
That's a great question. I have been mentoring many people, especially with my 33 years of experience as a corporate leader. I grew up as a technical developer. So at AWS or Amazon Web Services, I mentored and coached more than 2,000 employees so that I can connect with the developers, engineers, and the fresh graduate from colleges. So I inspire them, mentor them, coach them. And within that, the proof is in the pudding. I was able to get more than 52 members to Amazon ID Club, as well as Amazon Headquarter 2. That is another club I sponsored and supported. That club also had more than 62 members. So I am good at inspiring new generation people and that new generation employees. That's number one. Number two, I reach to the different communities from temple, mosque, gurudwaras, and churches. Third thing I do here is support the youth leadership programs. So that currently I am engaged with the 4 youth leadership program so that I'm mentoring and coaching the parents as well as high school children so that I'm grooming them in terms of orientations to develop communication and leadership skills as the most important skill they can earn through the Toastmasters. That is how I plan to attract the fresh graduate, 25 through 35 years old, age old.
Perfect. What is your plan to promote the organization to corporate leaders and community organizations?
That's a great question. At Amazon, what I had done in past was talking with the HR as
Thank
well
you
as
very much, Sukumar. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for our second
thank you.
Club Growth Director candidate, Sukumar Nayak. With that, we will, as soon as Betty lets me know that our third candidate has arrived.
He has arrived.
Perfect. And our final Club Growth Director candidate is Innovation Planning Proficient, Lee Proctor. Lee has elected to give a short speech and use the remaining time to answer questions. Lee, the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Choplin. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests, and any dignitaries who may be running around. Toastmasters, the organization, has just like just about everyone else or every other organization around, has had a heck of a time the past 3 years. First, COVID, then Zoom gloom, then the simple desire to interact with other people on a face-to-face basis. I believe the members of D29's leadership have done a fantastic job getting through this period. Names such as Yamada, Richard, Doraiswamy, Taylor, Green, and countless others have led the way to not only keep us afloat, but also to grow and learn new skills in this virtual and hybrid environment. On July 1st, this challenge will continue. Welcome to a new set of trio members. If elected as Club Growth Director, I look forward to doing my part to help promote these skills to those within our communities, not just as another way to help others grow as public speakers, but also as a way to utilize the virtual environment as a leadership tool as well, while keeping our roots in mind, presenting in front of a live audience, whether in person or on the screen. How to do that? It's simple, just like we've always done through the clubs. And as we know, there are basically 2 types of clubs, community and corporate. Folks join both types of clubs for a variety of reasons, such as personal and professional growth, helping with their careers, or maybe within their community, such as a religious organization, historical society, or another volunteer group, such as the Red Cross or PTA, or many other reasons. As Club Growth Director, I plan to focus my efforts in 3 areas. First, to support our current clubs. If you look at the numbers over the past few years, we've taken a little bit of a hit. COVID and that lack of personal interaction are likely being the most significant. And while there have been quite a few changes, I would like to take advantage of all sorts of settings by promoting the benefits of in-person, virtual, and the hybrid environment. And I like to work with the clubs through the division and area directors to determine which would be most benefit the clubs and to build up from there. Second, I want to focus on new clubs. Even with a large number of corporate clubs between Tysons and Ashburn, I believe there's room for a lot more. Communities, I believe there's room for quite a few there as well. Not only would I like to look at the more densely populated areas, but since our district stretches from the Beltway to the West Virginia line and almost to Harrisonburg and back to Fredericksburg, I think about the communities you may or may not have heard of, such as Haymarket, Woodstock, Front Royal, Marshall, and Middleburg all have strong communities and quite lively, vibrant communities at that, with their unique cultures about them, but very little going on about from the Toastmaster footprint. I frequently wonder if there's a lot of room to grow for us, Toastmasters, District 29, to help them grow as well. The third thing I want to touch upon as Club Growth Director is advertising, promotions, getting out there and making sure our name is known. I've met more than a few people in my work environment who have all kinds of history, whether in work, the military, or government, who have not heard of Toastmasters whatsoever. We in District 29 have done a great job promoting with Meetup and Patch, but I like to look further and other means, especially in the underserved communities, the more underpopulated communities, and maybe professional organizations such as the Armed Forces Communications Education Association, or FCA, the Virginia Education Association, the Medical Society of Virginia, and any array of chambers of commerce or government organizations that may or may not be represented already within our district. Will this be a success? I like to think it would be a great start, if nothing else, and a great way to build off Paula's successes the past 10 and a half months here and keep it going into the upcoming Toastmasters year. So ladies and gentlemen, today I introduce myself and ask for your vote as a 2023-24 Club Growth Director for District 29. Thank you, ma'am. With about a minute to go.
Perfectly. So I might be able to get a question in. When working with a group of peers, describe your decision-making style.
Democratic, straight up Democratic. We work together, get the idea, get the problem out there, get to talking to see what the best practice is.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause for our last and third, let's just say the third, because I like the word last, but our third Club Growth Director candidate, Lee Proctor. And with that, we now get to move into our candidates for our Program Quality Director.
Good evening.
Good evening. And our candidate for Program Quality Director is distinguished Toastmaster Paula Green. Paula has elected to give a short speech and use the remaining time to answer questions. Paula, the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Fellow Toastmasters, I'm here this evening to ask for your active support to be your next Program Quality Director. I have been a member of Toastmasters for 10 years now, and during those 10 years, I have done multiple leadership roles, starting with club officer roles, area director, division director twice, PLI dean, District 29 administration manager, and now as your current Club Growth Director. In this role, I've had the privilege of chartering 2 clubs with 3 more to be chartered imminently. I've matched 8 clubs with coaches to help them become distinguished. I've helped our clubs on adopting self-pay, and I'm very pleased to say that District 29 has had an increase in renewals from last fall till this April. I made sure with the project that club contact information was correct across the district. And working with the PM, I've helped facilitate special seminars on increasing membership through Meetup and other social media tools. This year so far, there have been 4 club winners for Talk Up Toastmasters membership, and I anticipate that there will be more winners for Beat the Clock that's coming up right now. As a TRIO member, I have gained valuable experience and knowledge participating in the district officer training offered by Toastmasters International. Looking at the future as your program quality director, I will continue to balance the convenience of the virtual event and the environment that we're in with Zoom, along with the social networking benefits of meeting in person. I want to highlight the tradition of the Toastmasters contest as a means of encouraging members to challenge themselves as contestants and also contest volunteers. I want to convince more club officers of the value that TLI training provides for their roles. I want to more clearly demonstrate that DCP goals are more than just about metrics. They indicate membership engagement with pathways, healthy club growth, and officer commitment to their goals. In addition to TLIs, I want to facilitate additional learning seminars about specific interests. And finally, of course, there are larger events like Mid-Year Gala and the annual district conference, which are important for fun, fellowship, learning, and celebration. As my own journey demonstrates in Toastmasters, I am an example of how Toastmasters offers us the opportunity to grow as leaders, from the club to the district and beyond. I hope to inspire people to deepen their own Toastmasters path, as this will have a profound positive effect on the member and on our district. In conclusion, I hope my Toastmasters leadership experiences and aspirations for the year ahead will inspire you to support me as your next program quality director. I look forward to continuing to serve you as part of the district trio. Madam Moderator.
Thank you, Paula. Can you describe your roles and responsibilities and how you will achieve these?
In terms of the program quality roles and responsibilities, first one that's coming up imminently are TLIs. And it will be my job to make sure that those are adequately provided with good trainers, that it's worth the members' experience to attend, that they find it valuable, and that we encourage as many people to come as possible. In addition to TLIs, as I mentioned, I'll have other types of information and seminars. Also, part of my responsibility will be overall club quality and encourage as many clubs as possible to reach their DCP goals. Again, not just because it's all about metrics, but because what those metrics mean is that clubs are engaging their members. And then, of course, there are other special events that we have, like the Mid-Year Gala, the annual conference, and last but not least, we have contest season coming up. So those are the things that I will be focusing on in my role as program quality director.
Great. And what can you and your district do to get more members excited about being part of the leadership process?
Explaining what their responsibilities are adequately so that people can appropriately plan and make good decisions about their own schedules, and certainly encourage people to come out of their shell, to challenge themselves, become better leaders.
Okay. And how will you promote quality clubs?
The way you do that is by encouraging people to actively participate. That's the only way that clubs will become good quality, is if they have people who are doing speeches as well as people who are performing roles. Encouraging them to take on officer role responsibility or meeting role responsibilities, encouraging them to become future leaders, not only of their club, but also the district as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause for our program quality director candidate, Ms. Paula Green. And last, but definitely not least, She's been sitting in that room all alone for a while now. Probably ready to see our faces. Okay, last but not least, it is our time to hear from our district director candidate, distinguished Toastmaster Shalise Gilmore. Shalise has elected to use all 6 minutes to answer questions. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. Describe your roles and responsibilities and how you will achieve them.
Okay. Oh, wow. So as the district director next year, if I'm elected, I will be responsible for maintaining more of the administration when it comes to our district, overseeing the day-to-day operations and signing any contracts that come forth for our district. And of course, just dealing with human resources per se, with our district leadership, with our members and our clubs. How will I achieve that? With a lot of enthusiasm and just being motivating, being encouraging to our members and our leadership, because this is not an easy job being in a district leadership role. So that's how I will do it.
Okay. What can you and your district do to get more members excited about being part of the leadership process?
That is a great question, Kimberly. So this year, we did take time to do more training when it came to leadership. We also held a president's forum where we spoke with the presidents to provide resources to find out how they're doing in their roles and also to encourage them in their role this year. We also did a leadership symposium where we actually invited the international president, Matt Kinsey, and we had a representative from each level of leadership, from all the way at the international level, the Toastmasters International level, to the area director. And that was a successful event. And yeah, that was a successful event. And I think with that being said, just being more transparent about our roles here as an area director, a division director on up, being honest about the time commitment, the tasks that are involved, but also really highlighting the positivity that happens, the goals that we achieve, the leadership qualities and the communication that we build in our leadership position. So I think that's something that we as a district should start embracing more, is being transparent about being in leadership.
Perfect. What innovative approaches will you bring to this role?
Well, I wouldn't say innovative approaches that we will bring to this role, but I know that we are transitioning out of our pandemic and transitioning more into in-person events. It is something that we have started this year with more in-person events. We had 2 TLIs in person. We're having our district annual conference in person. And so next year, we really want to keep building on that momentum, possibly holding events in person. We definitely have some TLIs already scheduled in person, as well as several of our key events that will be happening. I think that's more of the innovative approach that we'll be taking more so this year, and also helping and assisting our clubs with transitioning to hybrid or fully back in person.
Okay. When leading a team, describe your decision-making style.
So when I lead my team, I'm mainly a democratic leader. I like to take feedback from all of the members of the committee and then make a decision that way. If something has to be made immediately, then I normally will seek the advice of some advisors that I have, mainly my region advisor, sometimes my district director, my immediate past district director, and make sure that any of the decisions that we are making do not violate any of the policies and procedures of Toastmasters International. I also like that. I also I hate saying but I love doing
I'm
a
counting.
leadership style. Let's keep track. I like doing a coaching leadership style where, you know, eventually I'm going to transition out of this role and I want to encourage other people to become leaders in the district. So I'm more about teaching people how to do the role and then holding their hand in the very beginning, but then gently letting go and letting them excel in that role. And that's been very popular for me, especially since I've served as a Division G director on through my program quality director year.
Okay. Please provide a specific example of when you developed a strategic plan and it was implemented successfully.
I would say that one of the strategic plans that I implemented was during my division director year. We wanted to put together a program where we can do indoctrination of Toastmasters. So that was something that we put together. It was started off with a Sunday social, but then we continued on doing it monthly throughout the end of the Toastmaster year. It was successful. We would have about 5 to 10 new members show up and learn about Toastmasters. If they needed help signing up for a path, we will assist them with that, as well as making sure that they have reached their
Ladies
first.
and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause for our district director candidate, Shalise Gilmore. And now if we can get all of our candidates to come online, everybody else gets the chance now to come off mute. And let's give them all a big round of applause. They don't know what I'm going to ask. They don't know what we're going to say. And they've all handled it great and wonderful, and they volunteered. And so we want to make sure we give them all the credit they do for being here tonight.
Yay!
Thank you. And before we do anything else, don't want to leave just yet, I get to turn it back over to Mr. District Director for any final remarks.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. That was sensational, being able to get a chance to get to know our district leader candidates better. Kimberly, you did a fantastic job as our facilitator tonight. Thank you to all of our attendees who took time out of your busy schedules to be with us to learn more about the individuals who are running for district leadership positions. I am so excited about what the future holds, and I hope you are too. Just a couple announcements before we officially adjourn. I want to be sure that you are all invited to our District 29 Town Hall, which is happening Thursday evening at 7 p.m. You can find the registration link on the District 29 calendar page on our website. And I want to be sure that all of you are planning to register, if you haven't already, to our first in-person District 29 annual conference, which is happening on Saturday, May 20th at the Hilton Fairfax. Now, we're actually about to end the early bird registration rate of $100. So after May 10th, it goes up to $125. So if you haven't registered yet, please go ahead and do so. Thank you so much. And with that, it's been a great evening spending time with you and our future district leaders. I wish you all a great evening and hope to see you at our district town hall Thursday evening. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care.